Archie Bunker has always believed that stability is something you earn once and then keep forever, like a badge you never have to polish again. You work hard, you show up every day, you put in the years, and in return the world owes you predictability. That belief has shaped his entire personality. It's the reason he sits in his chair with authority, the reason he speaks as if certainty itself belongs to him, and the reason he reacts so badly when certainty cracks. The strike doesn't arrive like a sudden explosion. It arrives like a slow realization that the rules Archie trusted may no longer apply, and that realization unsettles him far more than any shouting match ever could. The first hint of trouble comes wrapped in something deceptively ordinary, a message from the union. It's not dramatic. It doesn't scream catastrophe. It simply states that workers will be going on strike. For Archie, those words land like an insult. A strike means no work, and no work means no paycheck. But more than that, it means waiting. Archie hates waiting. Waiting means someone else has control. Waiting means the system is no longer responding to effort alone. He immediately reframes the situation in his mind, insisting that strikes are mostly theater, that they rarely last, that management will cave because it has to. This isn't analysis, it's emotional self-defense. Archie needs the strike to be temporary in order to protect his sense of himself as a man whose life follows a logical pattern. Around him, the rest of the household reacts in quieter, more practical ways. Edith reads the message and feels the weight instantly. She doesn't argue economics or labor strategy. She thinks about groceries, utilities, rent, and the invisible costs that don't stop just because work does. Gloria senses the danger not just to the family budget, but to the emotional climate of the house. She knows Archie's pride is brittle, and when brittle things are stressed, they shatter loudly. Mike, ever the outsider insider, understands a strike as a structural problem rather than a personal attack. He sees it as something that requires adaptation, not denial. Archie, however, is not built for adaptation. He's built for insistence. He insists the strike won't last. He insists the family shouldn't worry. He insists everything will work out because it always has before. That insistence becomes the soundtrack of the household, repeated so often it starts to sound hollow even to him. When the strike officially begins and Archie stays home instead of going to work, the difference is immediate. The house feels smaller. Time stretches. Archie's presence fills every room, not because he wants attention, but because he doesn't know where to put his restlessness. Work used to absorb his frustration. Without it, frustration spills everywhere. The financial pressure doesn't arrive as a dramatic collapse. It creeps in through repetition. Meals get simpler. Conversations about money get more frequent, even when nobody wants to say the word money directly. Edith starts making careful decisions, stretching resources the way she always has, but now with more urgency. She doesn't complain. She adapts. And that adaptability, quiet as it is, creates an uncomfortable contrast with Archie's rigidity. Edith is solving problems while Archie is still arguing with reality. Mike's decision to look for work is practical and well-intentioned, but it detonates something inside Archie. To Archie, providing isn't just a role, it's proof of worth. When Mike steps into that space, even temporarily, Archie feels displaced. He reacts the only way he knows how, with sarcasm, criticism, and dismissal. He mocks Mike's efforts, questions his abilities, and turns the job search into another arena for dominance. What Archie can't say is what he actually feels, that he's terrified of being unnecessary. So instead, he attacks. Gloria watches these exchanges with growing frustration. She understands both sides. She sees Mike trying to help, and her father interpreting help as humiliation. She sees Edith holding everything together while pretending it doesn't cost her anything. And she sees herself trapped in the middle, trying to keep peace in a house where peace depends on pretending the storm isn't real. The strike doesn't just strain finances, it exposes emotional fault lines that were always there, but rarely tested this hard. As days turn into weeks, Archie's confidence erodes in subtle ways. He becomes more controlling about small details, how money is spent, how meals are prepared, how people speak to him. This isn't because those details suddenly matter more. It's because they're the last things he can still control. When the larger forces of labor negotiations and economic pressure feel overwhelming, Archie clings to the household as a place where his word should still mean something. But control doesn't create security, it creates resentment. Edith grows weary. Mike grows angrier. Gloria grows sharper. The house becomes a pressure chamber where every conversation feels like it could ignite something bigger. The strike also forces Edith into a kind of quiet awakening. She has always supported Archie, often at the cost of her own voice. But now she sees clearly that survival doesn't come from bluster. It comes from flexibility. Edith begins to assert herself more, not aggressively, but confidently. She makes decisions. She takes initiative. She does what needs to be done without waiting for permission. Archie notices, and his reaction is complicated. On one hand, he needs her strength more than ever. On the other hand, that strength challenges his belief that he is the sole foundation of the household. The strike reveals a truth Archie doesn't want to face. The family has always survived because of Edith, not just because of him. On the picket line, Archie experiences a different kind of frustration. Among other workers, he's no longer unique. He's one voice in a crowd, one sign among many. The solidarity he theoretically supports feels uncomfortable in practice because it requires patience and restraint. Archie wants resolution now. He wants victory without vulnerability. But strikes don't work that way. They grind. They test endurance. They demand sacrifice without guarantees. Archie tells stories when he comes home, exaggerating conflicts and slights, trying to reclaim some sense of importance by framing himself as a central figure in the struggle. But underneath the stories is fatigue. The longer the strike lasts, the harder it becomes to maintain the illusion that everything is fine. Archie starts snapping at Edith over trivial things. He argues with Gloria over nothing. He treats Mike's presence like an intrusion rather than support. These behaviors aren't cruelty for cruelty's sake. They're symptoms of fear. Archie's worldview tells him that a man who works hard will be rewarded. The strike suggests otherwise, and that contradiction shakes him deeply. What makes this period so powerful isn't just the conflict, it's the realism. The bunker household doesn't collapse into chaos, but it doesn't find easy solutions either. There's no sudden windfall. There's no speech that magically restores Archie's confidence. There's only endurance. Edith keeps going. Gloria keeps negotiating. Mike keeps trying. And Archie, despite his resistance, is forced to confront the possibility that strength might look different than he thought. That strength might involve compromise. That dignity might survive even when certainty doesn't. By the end of this stretch, the strike has done its real work. It hasn't just paused a paycheck. It has stripped away assumptions. It has forced each character to confront who they are when the system stops cooperating. Archie is still Archie, loud, stubborn, proud. But there's a crack now, a visible reminder that the world doesn't always reward loyalty the way it used to. Edith is still gentle, but her gentleness now carries authority. Gloria is still caught in the middle, but she's clear-eyed about the cost of denial. Mike is still the outsider, but he's proven that responsibility doesn't always come with respect. And that's the lasting impact of the strike. It doesn't end with a clear victory or defeat. It ends with awareness. Awareness that security is fragile. Awareness that pride can both sustain and sabotage. Awareness that families survive not because one person holds everything together, but because everyone adapts when the ground shifts. The paycheck may stop, but life doesn't. And when life keeps moving, the only real choice is whether you move with it or keep insisting it should move back.